And a good morning, everyone. Sean Hammond here from Lake Your Country WJRS. Just wanting to come on and provide an update on the severe weather situation. If you didn't notice, we are also streaming to our YouTube page. I know sometimes Facebook can be a little wonky on the live stream, so if you'd like, you can go to YouTube and just search for Lake Your Country, and you'll find this live there as well. I'm going to try to start streaming our severe weather coverage streams on both Facebook and YouTube. Again, Facebook's good, but sometimes it can act a little wonky sometimes, so just wanting to put as many streams out as we can. We'll get started here. Let's go to the radar right now at 8:46 a.m. You can see we have got nothing going on here in the Lake Cumberland area, but we do have some showers, a little bit of storm activity just off to our west. We'll check this out real quick. Let's jump over to the radar site in Fort Campbell, and we'll look and see what's going on around here. Again, just showers, maybe a little bit of thunder and lightning involved here, but nothing severe at this time, which is certainly good news as of now. You can see if you go down to far southern Tennessee, northern sections of Mississippi, we do have a looks like a severe thunderstorm warning and a tornado warning. Again, that's down there in far southern Tennessee. We'll turn off the data here and let's pull up the convective outlook from the Storm Prediction Center. And here it is. You can see all of our area, basically Louisville, Lexington, points south, is in a level 3 enhanced risk for severe weather today. That was shifted up this morning, I do believe. I know it was shifted to include the Lake Cumberland area yesterday afternoon. And now it encompasses a pretty good chunk of the state of Kentucky. So a lot of folks do have the potential to see some not only severe weather, but for some, maybe some significant weather. And again, we talked about this yesterday. It is possible. So I tell you what, let's go ahead and let's start talking about things real quick. So again, there it is, the level 3 enhanced risk. Let's start going over the threats real quick. So we'll pull up the probability of hail. You can see we've got an elevated hail threat in far western Kentucky, but everyone has a chance of seeing some large hail throughout the day today, and that is going to be a pretty good bet. We'll go to the wind, and you can see, look at this. There's an elevated threat of damaging winds from basically Bowling Green and points east, including everybody here in the Lake Cumberland area and going up north as far as Danville. Now, here is the regular tornado threat. You can see we've got, again, an elevated threat basically from Lexington and points south. But I want to show you this. This is the threat of a significant tornado. The areas that are shaded in red, that is where you can have that doesn't mean it's going to happen. Understand that. But basically, anybody in that red, there is the potential for a tornado of an EF2 or higher within 25 miles of a given point inside that red area. And again, I don't want you, let me zoom in here real quick. I don't want you to think that, okay, if I'm in southern Adair County, that means if I go to northern Adair County, then nothing's going to happen. No, these are just forecasts. Just understand that the potential is there for a significant tornado for basically everybody that is tuned in right now. Does it mean it's going to happen? No. Is it going to happen for everybody? No. It's just a forecast. And so I want to make sure that I try to get that out there as much as I can, just so you understand that not everybody will be getting in on a potential significant tornado. May not happen at all. It may happen for someone, but it's not guaranteed for everybody. So I just want to make sure and get that out there and explain it as much as I can. Significant hail, there's an elevated threat, again, across western Kentucky, and then significant wind. That's I think I've got this turned off, but it encompasses basically the area that you saw that elevated wind risk earlier. So, again, we'll go back to the radar real quick. And like I said, nothing is going on here in the Lake Cumberland area at this time. I do believe we will have a couple of different waves. We'll go into the models here in just a moment. So I want to show you a couple of graphics from the National Weather Service in Louisville. First of all, let's pull this up. So I want to explain this. This is the difference between a tornado watch and a tornado warning. I always try to get this out there and explain it. So it's pretty self-explanatory, but the difference is a tornado watch means that conditions are favorable for storms that could produce tornadoes. That's the Storm Prediction Center saying, hey, if you're in this area where the threat is, make sure that you're just keeping a close watch on things. A tornado warning means that there's a thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado, and it could be producing a tornado now, or it is producing one. And basically that means you need to go ahead and act. You need to go to your safe place. And at 8:50 a.m., I think it's a good time now to know where you're going to go in the event that there is a tornado warning issue. Go ahead and have that plan in place. And folks, it's not just a tornado warning. You could have severe thunderstorm warnings, and we had one Saturday night that had what was called a destructive tag. You've heard me talk about the severe thunderstorm warnings with tornado possible tags. And when I say tag, if you go to the bottom text of a warning, there's little tags there like wind, 80 miles an hour, hail, 2 inches. That's just tagging at the end of the warning. Well, sometimes they'll have a destructive tag, and I always like to try to treat those as tornado warnings because a weak tornado, an EF0, EF1 can have winds between 70 and 100 miles an hour. Well, if you have a severe thunderstorm with winds of 80 miles an hour, that's going to be the same difference. The only difference is the storm is going to be more widespread than the tornado. So I always like to try to explain that as well. I still want to show you another graphic. So the National Weather Service, this is no fault of the National Weather Service in Louisville, but there will be no NOAA weather radio through Wednesday. It's a mandatory upgrade. There's nothing they could really do about it. So they always put this graphic out on the right side where it says have multiple ways to receive warnings. So I wanted to put this out there. Now, I know it says outdoor sirens on there, and that is one way to receive a warning. But I think, and I've noticed this a lot lately, I think a lot of folks, that is their only way that they try to receive a warning. And folks, I want to tell you that don't depend on the siren as being your number one and only way to get a warning. Don't do that. We saw the other day, due to some kind of a software update, there was no tornado warning sirens on Friday night. Again, you don't want to depend on a tornado siren. There are so many ways to get warnings. You got your WEA alerts on your phones. Go to your phone right now and check your notification settings. If you have an iPhone, go to settings, notifications, and then I think it's at the very bottom. It says wireless emergency alerts. Android, I'm sure it's something similar. I'm not sure exactly where to go on there, but I know I think in Android you can go to settings and there's like a search feature, and you can just start typing that in. You can also, local TV and radio, of course, we've got you covered here on WJRS, and then just folks talking about it. I don't like to recommend social media, especially with like Facebook, because you know how the Facebook algorithm is. You'll see a post that was posted 3 to 4 days ago, and I don't like to recommend using Facebook. But yes, Beth Hopper puts a good point in the Facebook chat. Keep your location settings turned on with your phone today. And again, for folks that are just now tuning in, if you prefer the YouTube platform for watching videos, we are going to be. I'm going to try to start remembering to stream to YouTube. So if you want to go to YouTube and just search for Laker Country, you'll find us right there. I've got this same video being streamed there right now. And again, just trying to provide as many ways as possible. I said this earlier. Sometimes Facebook can be a little wonky sometimes, and I just wanted to try to give as many folks streaming capabilities as I can. All right, so we've got that out there. Let's go ahead and we'll jump over here to Radar Omega. This is a piece of software that a lot of folks have used it, but I try to use it for the purpose of models, because it does a really good job. It loads the models really fast, and hey, on a day like today, we want those models to be as fast as we can. So let's go ahead. We will check out some models here. And this is the HRRR, the HRRR model. Use this a lot, especially on the day of a severe weather event. And it's doing a pretty good job. You can see, here's the model right now. Let's jump back over to the radar, and I'll show you how this model is actually doing a pretty decent job. So let me get the radar data turned on here. We'll jump back over to that real quick. Again, the model is showing activity to the west of Bowling Green. Look at the radar. Actually doing a pretty decent job. Maybe not as intense as the model was thinking, but it's doing a pretty darn good job. So let's jump back over to this, and if you'll follow with me here, look at the top of your screen. It says valid. There's the date, which is today's date, and there's the time. And again, don't take these times to the bank either. It's just a model. Models can be wrong. So let's start going throughout the day today. There's 10 a.m. You can see still nothing happening here in the Lake Cumberland area, but we're looking at maybe some storms forming and trying to congeal in some kind of squall line by about mid-morning. And then watch as we go into 12 noon and 1 o'clock. We have wave number 1 moving in here. And that could really decide on how things play out tonight, to this afternoon, late afternoon and evening, I should say. If we get a lot of rain this early afternoon, mid-morning, and it kind of keeps things stable, that could reduce our threat. But let's go through the models. So we get that initial line out of here by 2 o'clock. Here's where the issues could be. You can see nothing going on. Will we see a lot of sunshine? That's going to really be a determining factor. So let's start going through here. Here's 5 o'clock. Here's 6 and 7. We get more activity here in the Lake Cumberland area. There's 8, 9, and 10, and that's it. That's out here. And so you can see, now again, this is just a model. But if I back things up here, this initial line that comes in here between 11 a.m. and 1 p.m., it looks a little bit more intense than what could come tonight for our area. Will it play out like that? We'll just have to wait and see. The big determining factor, though, folks, is going to be how much sunshine will we see before that initial line, and then once that initial line gets through here, how much sunshine will we see after that? Let me pull up the Kentucky Mesonet off screen here real quick. Let me see what we got going on here. So right now in Russell County, our temperature is at 74 degrees with a dew point of 69. That's very ripe air. That's air that is good enough to produce severe weather. So that's plenty enough energy. If I look, I've got the dew points pulled up for areas in western Kentucky that's had that rain there this morning. The dew points are still in the mid-60s, so the atmosphere is recovering pretty well. So we'll have to watch that very closely. I'm going to back the model up here, and I want to pull up the CAPE. You've heard me talk about this before. It's called surface-based CAPE. I always tell you, think of it as energy, as the fuel for storms. And so let's get this up to about when that line is approaching us, that first line. So let's get up to about 12 noon here. You can see we've got CAPE over 1,600. Folks, we've had CAPE in between 400 and 600 before and have had significant severe weather. So that's plenty enough CAPE to cause some issues. Let's get that initial line out of here. We get that break, and then that could allow the atmosphere to really recharge. Let's get up to about 6 o'clock this evening. Again, CAPE rebounds, maybe even higher, up to 2,000 joules per kilogram. And again, if you're just now tuning in, this is the fuel, if you will. So as of this run of the model, plenty enough fuel. I'm going to back this up now. We are now going to pull up the what's called the STP, the Significant Tornado Parameter. And we'll start going through here. Let's get up here to about 3 o'clock. And you can see we've got some STPs that are just under 1. That's not a lot. That's not a lot. But again, if we get a lot of sunshine, and the big thing is, can we get storms that get out by themselves? That storm that hit the other night that caused a tornado in Ely and Gosser Ridge and then caused the extensive damage in Somerset and London, that was one storm by itself. And folks, I've said this a million times, that storm started in Missouri, went through western Kentucky, came through here, and I think finally started to die out when it got to Manchester. It had some other storms kind of catch up to it and choke it off. But that's the thing. When I talk about those individual supercells, those storms that are by themselves, they don't have to fight with any other storm. They've got all that energy all by themselves. They can do whatever they want. And you saw what can happen when you get those individual supercells. That's what occurred the other night. So I want to go to another model here just because I like to compare. So this is, like I said, the HRRR, the HER model, the High Resolution Rapid Refresh. Let's go to the High Res NAM model. And you can see a little bit of difference. We've still showing activity out west, but let's see how this one behaves. So here's 1 o'clock this afternoon, and this tries to depict more individual cells. Here's one coming in here about 2 o'clock this afternoon, and then we get a break, and then the main show comes in here tonight between 6 and 9 p.m. So that's how kind of how the high-res NAM is showing it. The HER, though, tries to keep things pretty messy. Actually, there's a new run of the HER coming in right now. Let's see how this... so this is a new run. I'm not going to be able to go very far. There's 12 noon before it cuts off. You can see it's got that squall line down there in Bowling Green. And I'm going to be watching to see how that, whenever this new model data finishes coming in. So, again, just understand the best time frame. I don't like to give big windows, but basically between 11 a.m. and we'll call it 10 p.m. Is it going to storm the whole time? Absolutely not. We're going to have one wave and then a potential second wave. The first wave between 11 and 2. The next wave between like 4 and 9, 4 and 10. Again, I like to put those long range, those big times out there just to kind of let you know that, hey, it's not going to storm we're not going to have severe weather for 13 hours straight here, but the potential is there. And don't be surprised if we see tornado watches this afternoon. Would not be surprised at that at all. I see some folks in here asking about like individual counties. Again, like I said, basically between like 11 a.m. and 10 p.m., it could be severe weather. I can't tell you exactly what time it's going to hit your county. I wish I could, because if I did, I'd be a very rich man, but I can't. But, just understand we'll be here. I'll be up here all afternoon long. We'll have all the coverage for you, and we'll be letting you know what's going on. But, again, don't be surprised if there is a tornado watch issued at some point today. I do expect that. But, again, just have that plan. Be ready to go into that plan. And everything will be okay. I always say that, folks. Remember, let's go over a couple of things one more time. There's the difference between the tornado watch and the tornado warning. I'm going to leave it there for just a moment here. And then let's go right here to the ways to have warnings. Again, there will be no NOAA weather radio today. That's going to be due to a mandatory upgrade. No fault of the National Weather Service in Louisville. That date could not be changed. Outdoor warning sirens should not be your number one way to receive a warning. I know it's there, and that is a way to receive a warning, but that does not need to be number one, does not need to be number two, does not need to be number three way to receive a warning. Because we saw the other night, if you only depend on warning sirens, they can fail. There's apparently a software upgrade going on with the sirens. That's why they didn't go off the other night. But that should not be your number one way to receive a warning, especially in the era of smartphones. Of course, we've got that. You've got the local radio here, WJRS, on Facebook. Many, many ways to get watches and warnings. So you need to understand and know right now what you're going to do, what source you're going to be using or going to get your severe weather information. Of course, like I said, if you can tune in here, we'll be keeping you up to date all afternoon long. As far as I know, there will be no new conference call with the National Weather Service in Louisville. They hadn't mentioned anything like that this morning, so what we had yesterday will be what we roll with. We'll go back to the radar one more time. You can see we've got that initial line already popping up there in Bowling Green. And this, what comes, the model was saying about 12 noon. This may come in a little bit sooner. I'm going to be watching this line to see how it behaves this morning. So we've got some storms trying to pop up out ahead of it around, looks like that's close to Richmond up there in Madison County, and then a little cell up there around Rockcastle County. But again, let me zoom in here. Nothing going on right now in the Lake Cumberland area. And let's keep it zoomed in here real quick. You kind of need to have an idea of where you are on the map. So Russell Springs, Jamestown, that's Russell County. Columbia, that's Adair County. Edmonton, that's Metcalfe. Tompkinsville, that's Monroe County. Burkesville, Cumberland County. Albany is Clinton County. Monticello is Wayne County. Somerset is Pulaski County. And then Liberty, of course, is Casey County. Try to know, not exactly, but just a pretty decent location of where you are on a map. And because, here on Facebook and YouTube, we predominantly use maps for, actually, that's basically all we use. Unless I get a picture or a video I can put on the stream, we just, we use maps with the radar. So kind of have an idea of where you are on a map. Just that way, that will help you out. But again, we will be streaming on YouTube and also on Facebook as well. So, yeah, if you're just now tuning in, remember we do have a YouTube channel. I decided to try to start streaming that this morning because Facebook can sometimes be a little weird. So if you want to, you can search for Laker Country 1049 on YouTube, and you'll find us there. And there's, like I said, plenty of ways for you to watch us and check out our streams. Okay. All right, folks, I think I'm going to wrap it up here. I just want to come on here this morning and give you an update on what's going on. And again, like I said, the main thing, have a plan in place. Everything will be all right, okay? We'll get through this. Tomorrow's going to be an absolutely beautiful day. We just got to get through today. So we'll be watching it very close. And, of course, if any watches or warnings are issued, we'll have it on the radio side and on social media as well. And don't forget, folks, a lot of folks like to stream us on our if you are strictly like a radio listener, I know there may be some people on here this morning that they like to listen on the radio. One thing I want to tell you is on our streaming on the radio, on the Laker Country app, and if you go to LakerCountry.com and stream us, that stream has about a 1 to 2 minute delay. So understand that if you hear me talking on the stream, that's about a 1 to 2 minutes behind. And, of course, every minute counts in severe weather. So I encourage you, of course, keep streaming it. But also, check in here on Facebook. This is instant. Also on the actual air, like on actual radio, it's instant as well. So I wanted to make sure I'm passing information along to you as well. We'll be keeping a close watch on it, and I'll be keeping you up to date all afternoon and evening long, so keep it tuned in right here. Again, we're here on Facebook, Lake Your Country 1049 WJRS, and also on YouTube. Just search for Lake Your Country on the YouTube channel, and again, we're going to start streaming on there as well, just to try to put as many sources out there as possible. Again, folks, stay safe. Have a great rest of your Tuesday. I hope I don't have to come on here at all, but if we do have severe weather, we will be on, and we'll be keeping you up to date with the very latest.